Hello, and welcome back to Greg Way Enterprises Week 9. Today we're going to be talking about focus. Focus is a very foundation for everything that you're ever going to do in your life. In order to be successful, in order to complete a project, in order to do anything that you want to do, it's going to require some ability to focus, some degree of focus, some more than other. It's very, very important that you know that without the ability to focus, without the ability to in your mind organize your goals, focus your goal, and to be able to really tune in and zero in on what it is you want to accomplish, that at the end of the day or at the end of the year or at the end of your life, you're going to look back and you're going to say, man, why couldn't I get that done? Some people have a natural ability to focus more than others. So as we go into week 9 on focus today, I'm going to be telling you about a story of an individual that I met that had the ability to focus super well, and kind of his journey through life and what he did. If you go back to the 25-week series and you watch the week on attitude, energy, and focus where I put them all together, you're going to have a story and hear a story about how I was up in Salt Lake City, Utah during 9/11, and as the planes were flying through the towers, I was in the middle of a sales presentation. And even though looking back on that, I feel really bad for what happened on that day, I'm really proud of myself that I was able to continue and focus and finish my presentation. And in essence, get my sale. I didn't realize the magnitude of what was happening at the time. I just knew that and know that when I go into a sales situation that I block everything else out, 100% of everything. Whether it's the weather and it's snowing, whether it's super hot, whether there's people that are happy or unhappy, whether there's situations in my personal life or in other people's lives that I know of, or regardless of the traffic on the freeway or whatever may be happening, I know that during that period of time, my client not only deserves my total and complete focus, but I owe it to them and I owe it to myself, because you don't ever look back, whether it's on a sales presentation or last month, last year, 10 years, a lifetime, and say, man, what if I would have focused? What if I would have just focused a little bit harder? So, focus it's the cornerstone. It's the key of everything, from the minute that you wake up in the morning and you're rolling out of bed and you're focusing on getting up, whether you're using a system where you count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you're disciplined and you're focused and you get up, or whether it be that you're driving down the road and you're trying to determine who you're going to see first and what you're going to say and how you're going to approach a certain client and what meeting and what setting you're going to be in. You've got to be able to focus. I can't stress that enough. You've got to be able to 100% tune everything out, and if not even for a short period of time, focus on the individual. Focus on the individual. Focus on the setting that you're in, and make sure that regardless of any distractions around you, you're able to be mentally strong and accomplish what you want. We know that whether it was the light bulb, whether it was an airplane, whether it was a Microsoft or a Google, or whether it was anything wonderful, going to the moon, these things would not be accomplished without a tremendous amount of people focusing on exactly what they wanted, having a goal in mind, and keeping their eye on the ball, keeping their eye on that goal. And following through and making sure it got done. If you're on this channel and if you're watching right now, you know that we're here to talk about sales and we're here to talk about techniques and strategies. And I'm going to share with you a story of an individual which doesn't have to do with a sale per se, but it has to do with a lifetime of focus and what an individual was able to do due to that focus. There's a lot of ways I could tell you this story, so I'm just going to try to give you an abbreviated version of how I know what I know. As a hobby, I like to buy estates. When people pass away or when they have a situation in their life, I like to step in and buy sometimes the entire home, the estate, everything. and I run an online antique store. And it's called Antique General Store. It's on Etsy. You can look it up, Antique General Store, all one word. And it's therapy for me. I love to buy the antiques. I love to list them online. It's just really, really fun to be able to have some quiet time and research antiques and really dig deep and provide things for people. That being said, on almost a daily basis, I'm down at our post office shipping things all over the world. I mean, anything you can dream of. I think I've got 588 antiques online this morning, something like that. But I usually keep about 600, 650, something of that nature. So there's a lot of activity, a lot of things going on. Therefore, I'm at the post office a lot shipping. And I've gotten to know the people down there quite well. And there was a new individual which came along, and I don't want to use his name because just for privacy, I don't want to use his name, but he wasn't very well accepted, and he was hired as a supervisor to supervise the people at the front window and to make sure everything was running smoothly. And being down there for so many years and shipping and talking and forming a relationship and bonding with my friends down there, I could tell a little bit of a shift when he came along. And when he wasn't looking, they would look at me and just kind of go, ugh. Or they would look at me and go, or I would say, hey, how's so-and-so doing? And they would, go, oh, it's weird. And I got to thinking about that. And I got to thinking, why would you classify him, or why would you put some kind of a title or why would you judge him? Why would you identify him as being strange and weird, when it seems to me that whenever I see him, he's just very detailed and very focused on the packages and the paperwork and the stamps and making sure that the drawers have the right amount of money and making sure that everything is right. Why would you label him? Why would you? So I thought, no, these are my friends. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to take sides, but I'm certainly not going to be judgmental and be rude to him. I will tell you, he's very dark-skinned, and he's from India. So the culture of how some folks in some countries are raised and brought up in their society, a little bit different, maybe routine, a little bit different personality. Their culture, it's different. It's how they're raised. And I've always known that, tried to understand that if you can figure out why a person's doing what they're doing, you can be a lot more accepting of them. Whether you meet someone that's really kind and good to you in sales, or whether you meet someone that's horrible to you, or whether you meet someone in life that's good or bad, if you could kind of figure that person out, it helps you have a better understanding and be more tolerant and be more kind. So when I meet people like that, I kind of take it upon myself to earn their friendship and earn their trust and try to get to know a little bit about them. So now this has gone on for probably the last 6 months, that, everyone is so hateful and negative towards this individual. And it's wrong. You just, to me, it's wrong. Anyhow. On occasion, this individual will pull a drawer, meaning they will come to the teller, the window, and they will interact with the customers coming through the post office when it's really overloaded and it's prior to a holiday or right after a holiday or something of that nature, and the line is like 20 feet out the door. And I've gone out of my way every time I meet this individual to call him by his name and ask him how his day is going and to be kind to him. And the first 3 or 4 or 5 times he was a little bit abrupt, real, very abrupt. It didn't matter. I didn't shift. I stayed. It's like with your children. If you're having an issue, you don't shift. You stay right where you're at. Don't let them do their thing, but don't shift. Stay right, stay consistent and stay stable, and don't just be consistent. So it took me, I don't know, a couple months to where when I would come in, he would see me in line and he'd smile and he'd wave and I'd wave back and how you doing, buddy? And I was very genuine. Though I wasn't being phony. I was trying to be kind to him. And then it took a few more times, and I noticed that whenever I would pay for things, I like to pay in cash. I just do. I like to have cash, and whenever I was off by a nickel, say something comes to 1805 or 1823 or 905 or whatever it is, he'd always say, no, don't worry about the change. And I'm thinking, buddy, you can't do that because your drawer's got to balance out at the end of the day. You don't. But I could tell he was softening up, and he could trust me. It's kind of like a family pet or something. You go to pet them and they're really skittish of you, and then all of a sudden they start to trust you and they come closer, and he started to open up to me a little bit, and I had an opportunity to get to know him a little bit. And as I would come through, we're talking every day. Whenever I'd see him or have the opportunity to go to his window, if he was there at the front, I would. And I asked him, I says, do you have a family? And he says, oh, sir. And he starts to talk, and they talk really fast. And I think that frustrates some of the customers in line too, because the accent, you can't quite grasp what they're saying. But, it's pretty much the same routine you go through, and they ask you if there's anything fragile, perishable, liquid, etc. They ask you if this is the correct address, hit that, and if you want to buy any stamps. And so I think that has to do with some frustration with people with him. But I know the routine, and I kind of am pretty good at deciphering that, reading between the lines. And he'd go, no, sir. He said, you? And I said, no. I said, I need to pay you. I said, I can't be just, that's not cool. And, but he's in charge pretty much as far as the front end. And he, no. So our friendship has evolved a little bit, and I've observed him and I've watched him and how particular he is on everything he does. If it's a piece of paper, he straightens it. If it's a stamp, he straightens it. If it's something he's putting a stamp on, it's perfect. If he's counting out his stamps, he'll make very meticulous, very focused on his work. And I don't think people really see that degree of focus. So as I got to know him, he said, well, tell me about your family. He says, well, I have a son, and my son is a doctor. And I'm thinking, whoa, smart people. And he says, and I have a daughter, and she's in medical school in Texas, and my wife is there with her. And my wife has been with her since I came here. It's been about 6 months. And I said, now hold on. I said, so you're home alone? And your wife is in Texas? Why isn't she with you? Why? Because I got to know him. So no. Helps with the study, and it's about family, and it's about focus, and it's about making sure that everything's perfect and it's in order, and that she gets her degree, and that she goes on to, progresses in her medical school. And I said to him, well, what do you eat? I mean, I thought about inviting him over to the house, make a nice meal for him, and really genuinely trying to be kind. He goes, oh, sir. He goes, no, I eat, I cook. I said, yeah, but what about your family? He goes, and he reiterated, no, number one is the family and making sure that. So this family, and all of a sudden I'm realizing this man's all about focus on whatever you're going to do. Whether you're going for a medical degree, whether you're selling, whatever it may be, that focus. And I really have a respect for that. So, about 2 weeks ago I was in there, and I thought I'm going to dig a little deeper. So I called him by his name. And I said, so tell me about, how did you end up in Utah? I mean, there's, usually it's skiing or it's the church or something. What brought you here to? He goes, sir, he goes, my whole life I wanted to come to the U.S. and be a citizen. This guy's like 60 years old, maybe a little bit more, but he's older. And he says, he goes, I'm from India. And he goes, and I wanted to be a U.S. citizen. And he said, and my dream was to come to the United States. Oh. And I go, so how did you end up here? He said, well, he goes, I had to go, and he worked for Caterpillar. And he did technology for support and things for them. And he says, I, as a young boy, went to work for Caterpillar. And they sent me to Saudi Arabia. And I had to work for over 20 years in Saudi Arabia. And I had to be the very best and the very top in my department to have an opportunity to be transferred to Texas. Now I'm thinking, oh, there's a Texas connection. Talk about focus. Can you imagine having a desire for so long, your whole life, to come to the United States and knowing that you're going to have to follow this path and you're going to have to be perfect at everything you do for decades? But he did, and he went to Texas, and then he retired. He finished out his career, and then they thought that it would be good if they could come to Utah for medical reasons and whatnot. It wasn't anything else related. He wanted to come to a little bit of a drier climate, because basically we're in the desert, even though it does snow here, but it's a little bit hot and dry. But he wanted to be able to have a variety of the seasons and be able to have that mixture where it's not just hot all the time, but it, kind of find that balance. So he thought it would be a good idea to come to Utah, and his daughter stayed and started to go through the medical programs and medical school, and now his wife is. My point is that this individual has gone from India to Saudi Arabia to Texas, and now his focus is on, for health reasons and for balance, being here in Utah, and now he is a supervisor down at the post office. And my respect level for him went up, not only for the fact that he's able to do his job, but for the fact of how he's been treated probably his whole life, because his culture and what he looks like, his outer appearance, isn't necessarily consistent with his surroundings and with some of the people he's around. So as I thought about my topic today, and as I thought about focus for this week 9 presentation, I thought, well, it's not definitely, about sales, but it's all the same thing. No matter what you're going to do in life, especially in sales, when you're given a presentation, when you're going through sales techniques and strategies, when you're giving your presentation, when you're doing all of these things, you've got to have the ability to focus, to be able to come right in and tune it out. I'll give you an example. Today's my birthday, and I've turned my phone off and my iPad off because it's just lighting up and going crazy from individuals and people that I know, and family members wishing me a happy birthday and whatnot. And also down on the very, very 5th level, the very back of our property, during the COVID-19, we set up a beautiful little chicken coop and got some little ducks and whatnot, and we found out one of the chickens is a rooster, and he's been back there just running around cackling all cock-a-doodle-doo all morning. And so as I was getting ready to do this, I'm thinking, man, I can hear this rooster out here, and I've got my phone going off. But irregardless, I have an obligation to you to be able to talk to you and to help you and to train you and to mentor you. It doesn't matter if it's a birthday, it doesn't matter if it's a Christmas, it doesn't matter if something's flying through the roof of my home. What matters is my ability to be able to sit down and look in this camera and say to you, one of the key foundational principles that you're going to need to learn in order to progress in the world of sales is focus. So vital, so important. And I remember when I was younger, when I was writing up contracts and when I was preparing ad layout and when I was doing my office work, there would be times that I would turn on music. In this office, it's a large office. I have a backdrop here that is white, but I've got a large office. It's got over 500 antiques in it, and it's got in four corners Sherwin Vega D9 speakers that I got in the 80s, concert speakers. And I remember many, many years ago, I would turn certain types of music on and whatnot, and I could see if I could work through them and focus. And no matter what was going on, if I could just stay focused. And I mastered the ability of being able to focus on what I'm doing. When you go out and you pull up and you're making your presentation and you're looking them in the eye, I want you to focus. I want you to think about all the things that I've told you. Be kind, have a good attitude, have that energy, use your strategies, but focus on the individual. Focus on the individual so they know that they are the most important thing in your world, as you are to me right now. Focus on them. And whether it's short term or whether you have a long term goal, like my friend that came from India to Saudi Arabia and to Texas, now to Utah, I can promise you that if you will master the ability to focus, you'll do phenomenal. Look, I love and appreciate you guys. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your likes, those that have subscribed, your comments, your views. You've been able to share these videos. I would ask you, if you have any family or friends that wants to go into the world of sales, send them to gregwayenterprises.com. If you want to contact me, you can contact me through gregwayenterprises@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. If there's anyone out there wanting to go into the advertising marketing business, wanting to start your own business, contact me. I'll step you through it A to Z. Work with you, help you. I hope you have a great week. I hope you're being safe. Stay focused. Stay relentless. Achieve your goals. It can be done, but it starts with focus. Have a wonderful week, and I look forward to talking to you again next week. Goodbye.